Never forget to aspirate when placing deep to avoid affecting blood vessels. You remember this.
Scrunch on you. Well done. How's that?
Fine. Didn't hurt at all.
Never forget to aspirate when placing deep to avoid affecting blood vessels. You remember this.
Well done.
Never forget to aspirate when placing deep to avoid affecting blood vessels. You remember this.
1 ml of voluma, and we've got 3 injection points: the lateral brow, lateral canthus, lateral limbus. What we need to do is we need to look at our patients to see where the volume loss is greatest, and I think is greatest at around about this level here. So we're going to divide this 0.1 mil, this 1 mil, into 3 equal areas, or 3 not quite equal areas. So we're going to put in 0.3, 0.3, 0.4. So sharp scratch. And we aspirate to make sure we're not in the blood vessel, and then we're going to inject 0.3. This is our second injection point. We lift up the cheek, go straight in, sharp scratch, all the way down to the bone. We then aspirate to make sure we're not in a blood vessel, and then we inject. So again, we're going to inject 0.3, and we're using our finger just to protect the orbital rim. And then the last injection at the lateral limbus of the iris. We elevate, sharp scratch, all the way down onto the bone. We aspirate, and then we inject, and at the same time we're just protecting the orbital rim.
So there's a lot of ways to inject the cheeks, and one of the important things is the diagnosis, because every patient is different. People that say that there's only one way to inject the cheeks, or that if you draw one intersecting line, that's not true. Everybody has different anatomy, and everybody needs different augmentation. So this patient already has pretty good cheek augmentation. Now this is Juvederm voluma, and we have intersecting rings, kind of like the Olympic rings, and these are the areas, the infraorbital, kind of the submalar, and the lateral malar regions that I like to augment. And if you remember, voluma is FDA approved only and specifically for cheek augmentation. This is not a subcutaneous filler. It's meant for deeper injection, and it just flows very nicely, and I think you can see that cheek elevating as we inject this. And then once I inject this, I like to massage it, and let's wipe that off.
Never forget to aspirate when placing deep to avoid affecting blood vessels. You
And it
remember
just
this.
doesn't take, I mean, that's a 1-minute cheek augmentation right there, and that just looks very nice. So again, on young people that already have beautiful cheeks like this, it doesn't take very much to augment. And you just want to blend it, and I think the middle circle is on the, wipe that off, and then let's wipe the dark off. The middle circle on the average person is really where you want your augmentation. Put some more on there so we can massage it. All right, let's blot this. And that's a nice, really nice augmented cheek with, and that's just with 1 syringe of Juvederm Voluma.
First starts right there. There's a little hole there. And again, she's been alcoholed and prepped. Gonna measure this up. All right, Jeanette, here's a little poke. Here we go. I'm gonna take this down into reticular dermis. That's the deep layers of the dermis. Don't need to go down to periosteum because the volume loss is not at the periosteum here. All right, so I've done this little spot right here. I'm only using a 1/2-inch needle, so I'm gonna come back, pull back a little bit right here. There's some more volume loss right there, okay? Jeanette, here's a poke. I'm using this little 1/2-inch needle because I want the precision. So there's a, right there. I like to use longer needles for certain situations, but in this particular case, her volume loss isn't a long volume. It's just this little holes here. And I'm really trying to specifically tap into that area of skin that she doesn't like. Okay, there you go. And blend with that little baby skin. Oh, that looks really good. Okay, now we got one more right here. I've used a little over a 1/2 syringe here, and I've still got a couple of areas I need to work around. I'll first do this top one. Here's a poke. Good. I really like the precision of a needle because I can go at different depths. Good. And you're doing good, Jeanette? Yeah?
Very good.
You're like, I don't want to move, huh? I come back up here, I can feel a hole right there. All right, there we go. Little bit of a bleeder, not bad though. And I'm checking here.
Never forget to aspirate when placing deep to avoid
Just checking to
affecting
make sure
blood
everything's
vessels. You
smooth.
remember
And
this.
just below these layers of the dermis, where this volume is, the volume loss tells me how deep I need to go. So her volume loss is a little bit more superficial. It's not down to periosteum, periosteum meaning the bone. It's not down to the bone. So it's below these. Now that's good for, you know, you're 49. That's really good. You've got good volume. But because you have some volume loss, it's making that skin right there pucker out,
Right.
which is what's casting that shadow for you that you don't like. Look how pretty that looks. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me just make sure. Now when you're getting dermal fillers, it's important that we don't overfill this because we got, even though this is defined, it's not a big, huge hydrophilic. It's meaning it's not going to attract a massive amount of water, but it is going to attract some water. So we always want to err on the side of conservative and allow that body, your body, a chance to do that, which does take about 3 weeks. Okay, so let me just stand back and take a look. Looks good. Okay, right here, we're getting a little bit of more of a shadow. We're going to do one more poke. Good. You're going to really like this. Just filling that in, popping that out. All right, that looks great. Okay, so the right side's done. All right, here's a poke. Okay, so we're down at the bottom of that hole. Not quite down at periosteum, but it is deeper than the right side. So my angle at which I inject is going to be different than I did the other side. And just filling that in, doing these little baby fillers. Now I aspirate on the first time, but when I redirect, I don't aspirate every single time. So what I'm doing is using other clues to make sure that we're okay here. The patient's been advised if she feels anything kind of weird or intense burning to let us know. Also making sure that I'm keeping an eye on her skin. And if patients feel more pain too, they'll twitch. So that's another indication. And feeling where at. Okay, here's a poke. Again, I'm still using just this 1/2 inch needle because it's not a large area of volume loss and I want to have this precision to tap into this. So I'm going to be able to pop that in at the depth I want it and right where I want it in the skin. And this volume loss on this is a little bit more surfacey, so I'm just below the deepest layers of the dermis there. Even though she's got more volume loss on this side, the skin, it feels like I've got good resistance in there, so that means it's not a ginormous hole. So as I'm pushing product, I'm also being mindful of what kind of pressure and resistance, and that lets me know another indication of where I'm at and what I'm filling up. So you're doing good, Jeanette. Very, very good.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to do a little bit more right there. See that? Okay. Make this a little bit different angle. Here we go. Our goal is to kind of lift things up. So fillers, once they do settle, they settle down, give or take about 1 millimeter. So become a little bit higher. When they settle down, they'll settle nicely into these little pockets here. Right there's a hole.
Never forget to aspirate when placing deep to avoid affecting blood vessels. You remember this.